Hey everybody, Tyler with Bedford Camera and Video. In the studio today, we have the new Z6 III. On the surface, you may notice some similarities, but there are some notable differences between the Z6 II and the Z6 III. There are some obvious design cues on the front and the top, but let's start on the top. You're going to notice that there is a screen illumination button, and that's really nice for when you're in a darkly lit situation. You can turn that backlit LCD off and on as you need to. Now, if we flip it around to the back, you're going to see that the button placement pretty much remains the same, with the exception of the burst and play buttons swapped. This is done to keep it consistent with the Nikon Z8 and Z9 button placement. So if you're going from any of the other Nikon Z series, this button placement is going to seem natural and familiar to you. On this back side, one of the most obvious differences you're going to see is this screen mechanism. This is a fully articulating 3.2-inch LCD screen, touchscreen. Flip it around, and you have this hinge on the side here. Flip it around, touch your settings, change your settings how you need to. You have a little slot down here for getting your finger in there and opening it up. Other than that, it's going to be very similar to what you've used in the past. Open up the card slots here, and you're going to have CFexpress Type B, as well as SD card slots. Flip it over to the other side. Now, there's a really cool function for a lot of you that are shooting hybrid, full-size HDMI. Same full-size HDMI you'll see on the Nikon Z9 and the Nikon Z8. So we're continuing that usability so you don't have to find cables, and hope you brought the right one with you. It's a full-size HDMI going into your monitor, going into your program out, not a problem. Above that, you're going to see a USB-C for file transfer, for webcam use. Nikon has an optional accessory that you can use this port to plug into the wall and run the camera indefinitely, or if you have a battery solution that has USB-C power delivery, go ahead and use that here. And next on the ports, you're going to see, of course, a headphone jack, but also a mic input jack. And something unique about this Nikon Z6 III is the ability to put line level source audio into the camera. So if you're running this from a soundboard, you can do that, select line level in the menu for cleaner audio. And that's up to a 24-bit signal. And if we go to the electronic viewfinder on the top, this is going from 3.6 million dots on the Z6 II to 5.7 million dots here on the Z6 III. This brand new electronic viewfinder allows you to shoot blackout free on the electronic shutter, and you can turn the brightness up to an unheard of 4,000 nits of brightness. The Z6 III is still a 24.5 megapixel sensor, but this sensor is partially stacked. So it's not fully stacked like the Nikon Z8, but it's going to be a much faster readout than the predecessor. For you sports and wildlife shooters, you can shoot up to 14 frames per second on the mechanical shutter and 20 frames per second on the electronic shutter, as well as pre-capture modes. There are 3 pre-capture modes built into this camera, a lot like you'd see on the Z9 or Z8, and that allows you to pre-capture 30, 60, and 120 frames per second bursts before you press the shutter. Now in 120 mode, it is a cropped mode, but in some cases that's what you need. And a carryover from the ZF is the ability to link the vibration reduction to the focus point. This is going to be especially useful for those of you shooting subjects on the far sides of the frame. Another carryover from the Nikon ZF is pixel shift shooting. This pixel shift shooting feature allows you to shoot up to 32 frames, then take all of those images into NX Studio, which is free, and then you can merge that into a 96 megapixel image that you can also export out to an NEF. Now, if you flip the switch over to video, we have some really exciting capabilities. The first is the ability to shoot 6K in RAW, 60 frames per second directly into the camera, no external devices needed. And on top of that, you have the ability to shoot ProRes RAW or ProRes, as well as 10-bit H.265 files if you want to keep them smaller. And depending on the mode you're in, you can shoot up to 4K 120 frames per second or Full HD up to 240 frames per second. And when you're in the video mode, there are some cool features that have carried over from the Nikon Z8 and Z9. The first is going to be the video info screen, so you can turn that on, see what settings you have, and this works while you're recording. And another feature carried over from the Nikon Z8 and Z9 is the high-res zoom mode. so you can control this using the programmable lens ring, the plus and minus buttons on the back, or custom buttons set in the menu. You can use this mode with zoom or prime lenses, giving you more reach when shooting video. And on select lenses, you can use the focus ring rotation range, and that will allow you to go from a nonlinear response to a specific degrees of response. So if you're manual focusing and you're doing repeatable movements over and over, you can set this for the degrees of rotation so you can hit those marks every time. With regard to subject detection modes, you have 9 to choose from. You can set it for automatic, people, animals, vehicles, and airplanes. The automatic subject detection works for people, dogs, cats, birds, airplanes, cars, motorcycles, bicycles, and trains. These subject detection modes have been enhanced by Nikon's deep learning technology, allowing you to get fast and accurate tracking of your subjects even in extremely low light. There are a number of cage options for a lot of you video shooters and hybrid shooters out there, so you can mount your accessories wherever you need to on the camera. But you also have the ability to use Nikon's MC N10 remote grip. Plug in a USB-C cable on the top of the grip, as well as the USB-C port on the side of the camera. Or if you have a longer cable and you want to put this on a side handle on your gimbal or a studio cam setup, you can relocate that grip to wherever you need to. With the partially stacked sensor in mind, we decided to film a guitar performance. In the past, the readout speed of DSLR and mirrorless video performance with guitar strings and drumsticks has struggled at times. The full performance is shown at the end of this video. The Nikon Z6 III is available as a body-only kit or with a lens kit using the 24-70mm f4 S-line lens. If you want to make this camera part of your kit, visit any of our physical locations or online at bedfords.com.
You just want me to play the song from beginning to end?
Yes, play from beginning to end.
Okay.